Hello everyone, I'm Xiyan. Today we will thoroughly and completely explain the tempo logic of the mid lane in honor of kings. The mid lane, acting as the game's tempo engine, is the core hub connecting the upper and lower jungle areas and the two side lanes. From the 0 to 4 minute laning phase, to the 4 to 10 minute mid game macro, and then to the team fight after 10 minutes, the decisions of every single stage directly influence the whole situation. Today's content will strictly follow the game time framework, combining actual combat details and hero characteristics to teach everyone how to change from a solo mid laner into the team's tempo leader. 0 to 4 minute laning phase, determine strategy by matchup, seek opportunity for support. First part, which is also the foundational stage of the game, the 0 to 4 minute laning phase. Regarding this stage, the core goals are to perform well in laning matchups and precise support, laying the foundation for the subsequent tempo. The 0-4 minute mark is the laning and farming period for the mid lane, and also the tempo preparation period for the entire game. This stage does not have complex team fights. The core is just one thing. According to the matchup advantages or disadvantages between yourself and the enemy mid laner, formulate the corresponding play style. At the same time, grasp key time points to perform support and vision deployment. Remember, every small decision in the laning phase will affect the subsequent control rights of the mid axis. First, let us clarify. There are only two situations for matchups in the laning phase, advantageous matchups and disadvantageous matchups. The playstyles for these two situations are completely different. Everyone must first judge clearly. Do not use one set of thinking to play all matchups. 1. Advantageous matchup. Vision as the core actively support to create advantage. An advantageous matchup means our hero is superior to the enemy in wave clearing speed and lane suppression power. For example, Garuda against Daji or Xiao Qiao against Diaochen. In this case, our core is not simple laning solo kills or poking health, but through vision control and active support, radiating the lane advantage to the side lanes and jungle areas. 1. Support selection. Bush vision is key. In an advantageous situation, after finishing the minion wave, do not stay under the tower. At the first possible moment, seize the key mid lane bushes, the mid bush and river bush. These two bushes are the vision core of the mid lane. Occupying here allows you to master the movements of the enemy mid laner and jungler. When supporting, prioritize routes where there are bushes for ambushing. For example, rotating from your own jungle to support the clash lane from behind, avoiding walking directly through the river and being counter-ambushed by the enemy. Here is a practical game technique. After clearing the first wave and reaching level 2, it is the first golden point for support. At this time, the enemy has just reached level 2 and their skills are incomplete. We rotate behind to cooperate with our side lane. There is a high probability of forcing out a flash or even getting first blood and subsequently controlling side lane resources. This is an excellent timing to transform mid lane advantage into side lane advantage. 2. Providing vision. Mid bush plus jungle dual vision coverage. Under an advantageous matchup, we must take on the core vision responsibility of the team. In the gaps between clearing waves, timely stand in the mid bush to provide vision for the mid lane and river, letting teammates know whether the enemy mid laner has disappeared. If our jungler wants to invade the enemy jungle, we should go to the jungle entrance in advance to block vision and prevent the jungler from being counter-flanked. Remember, vision deployment under an advantage can expose all enemy movements to our side, making them afraid to easily support or steal our jungle. Disadvantageous matchup. Maintaining status as the core, adapt flexibly to avoid tempo. A disadvantageous matchup means we are slow at clearing waves and weaken lane suppression power. For example, Diaochan against Garuda or Mai Shiranui against Xiao Kao. In this case, do not go head to head. The core is maintaining your own status and reporting information quickly while using flexible positioning and support to avoid being snowballed by the enemy. When in a disadvantageous matchup, clearing waves must be sneaky. Try to clear minions inside the tower as much as possible, using the protection of the defense tower to avoid having your health poked down by the enemy. Once your own status is too low, go back to base as soon as possible. Do not force it, because a low health mid lane not only cannot defend the tower, but also causes teammates to lose mid lane vision support. More importantly, report information right away. As long as you see the enemy mid laner disappear after clearing minions, immediately send a danger signal to teammates and mark the enemy's possible support route. This is the most core responsibility of the mid lane under a disadvantageous matchup. Many players, when at a disadvantage, only care about clearing minions themselves and neglect reporting information, leading to side lanes being ganked one after another. This is a major taboo. If the enemy mid laner goes to support a certain side lane, we should not follow and chase. Instead, respond using 3 methods. A is blocking the return. After quickly clearing the wave, ambush on the most possible route for the enemy mid laner to return to mid, such as the river bush. Catch him off guard and force out his cooldown so that even if he's supported, he cannot quickly return to the mid lane. B is counter side support. If the enemy goes to support the clash lane, we go to support the farm lane, forming a you gank yours, I gank mine situation, avoiding one of our side lanes being continuously suppressed. C. If clearing the wave is truly too slow and the enemy wave enters the tower, we can swap lanes, giving the mid wave to the jungler or support and go to the side lane to support. Use the tempo of the side lanes to make up for the mid lane's disadvantage. Remember, under a disadvantageous matchup, do not be stuck forever in the mid lane by the minion wave. Key points in the laning phase. Jungle defense plus 3 major timings. This is the core of the laning phase. Everyone must remember it firmly. Many players play well in the laning phase, but because they neglect these points, it leads to the tempo suddenly collapsing. On jungle defense, respond at the first moment. As long as the mini-map shows a battle in our own jungle, whether the enemy is invading the blue buff area or the red buff area, as long as we have cleared the wave, we must defend at the first moment. The distance from the mid lane to the jungle is the shortest. Our timely support can allow our jungler to form a numerical advantage and protect jungle resources. Conversely, if the mid lane does not defend, the jungler has a high probability of being killed by the enemy. After the jungle falls, the laning environment for the mid lane will become even worse. 2. 3 key timings. Level 2. The wave clash laner hits level 4, which is 138. 348. First about level 2. As we said just now, finishing the first wave and reaching level 2 is the golden point for supporting side lanes. You must grasp it. At clash lane level 4. After the clash lane reaches level 4, they will have an ultimate, and combat power will increase significantly. At this time, the enemy is very likely to initiate an attack against the clash lane. We should stand in the clash lane river bush in advance and prepare vision and support. At 348, this timing is the spawn time for the tyrant. The enemy jungler and mid laner will likely compete for these resources besides. We should occupy vision in advance, cooperate with teammates to secure resources, and simultaneously prevent the enemy from taking the opportunity to start a team fight. Having finished talking about the 0 to 4 minute laning phase, next we enter today's core content and also the most critical stage of mid lane tempo, 4 to 10 minute mid game macro. Regarding this stage, we will use longer time to explain in detail. The core revolves around the competition for mid-axis control. This is the critical stage that decides the game's direction, and also the stage where many players are most prone to making mistakes. After 4 minutes, the game enters the mid-game stage. At this time, the ballista minions begin to respawn. The pushing speed and damage of the minion waves increase significantly. The core responsibility of the mid lane transforms from lane-to-lane confrontation to mid-axis control. Many players, upon reaching this stage, still habitually wander to the side lanes after clearing the wave. As a result, the mid lane T1 tower is pushed and the entire team's tempo instantly collapses. Remember, the mid-axis is the most important tempo starting point in the game. Losing the mid lane T1 tower is equal to losing the active right of the entire game. This stage will unfold from 4 aspects: division of tasks, the importance of the mid-axis, details of mid-axis seizing, and selection of attack directions. Every point is a core technique in real game. Everyone must master them with emphasis. 1. Mid-game core division of tasks. Defending mid is the number 1 task. Swap lanes only exists in the early game. First, clarify the core division of labor for the mid lane in the mid-game. The timing for the mid laner to swap lanes only exists in the early game, that is, before the ballista minions respawn. In the mid-game, the mid laner must focus on defending mid. Before the respawned minion wave reaches the tower, return to the mid lane right away. Many players reach the mid-game and still roam to the side lanes after clearing the wave. As a result, the enemy mid laner takes the opportunity to push the mid lane wave, wear down the tower's health, or even directly push down the mid lane T1 tower. This is the most fatal mistake in the mid game. because once the mid lane T1 tower is pushed, the enemy will occupy absolute control of the mid-axis. Our jungle will be radiated by the enemy, the support routes for the two side lanes will be cut off, and the team's activity range will be significantly compressed, eventually leading to a collapse across all lines. Here is a key detail. If your hero is a mage with poor wave clearing ability, such as Diao Chan, Mai Shiranui, Shangguan, or heroes like Daji or Milady, when defending mid in the mid game, you must send assemble signals to teammates in advance and let the support or jungler come over to help defend mid. Do not defend alone, because these heroes clear waves slowly, facing the enemy's minion push. One person simply cannot hold. Defending stubbornly will only result in having your status damaged by the enemy or even being killed, letting the mid tower be pushed directly. On the other hand, mages with strong wave clearing ability, such as Garuda, Xiao Xiao, or Princess Frost, must also remember. After clearing the minion wave, you can provide brief support, but you must reserve your movement skills and return to mid as soon as possible before the minion wave reaches the T1 tower. Do not be obsessed with fighting. 2. Awareness and importance of the mid-axis, the core of tempo, the hub of the whole game. Many players do not understand what the mid-axis is, nor do they know the importance of the mid-axis. Simply put, the mid-axis is the entire river and mid-lane area centered on the mid-lane. This is the geometric center of the entire map. In the mid-game stage, all tempo must unfold around the control of the mid-axis. Our core purpose is to expand advantages or control the map by mastering the mid-axis, thereby radiating to the two side lanes and jungle areas. Core value of mid-axis control. Radiating the whole game, creating numerical differences. Why is the mid-axis so important? Because the mid lane's distance to the two side lanes and the four jungle quadrants is the shortest. Having mastered the control of the mid-axis, we can flexibly decide the direction of attack. If we want to hit the side lane, we quickly rotate from the mid lane to the side lane. If we want to control jungle resources, we can quickly enter the jungle from the mid lane. At the same time, by mastering the mid-axis, we can use the difference in map running and rotation rates to create numerical differences. For example, while the enemy is still pushing in a side lane, we have already quickly assembled via the mid-axis to form a more against fewer situation in another lane. This is the core principle of gaining the tempo in the mid-game. Next, about core goal of the mid-game. Perform offense and defense around the mid-axis, stop ineffective roaming. All plays in the mid-game must unfold around the mid-axis. Do not perform ineffective side lane roaming. For example, if our side occupies mid-axis control, we can cooperate with teammates to force a team fight in the mid lane, compelling the enemy to defend and then rotate to a side lane to push down a side tower. If the enemy occupies mid-axis control, what we should do is assemble teammates to compete for mid-axis vision, rather than going to a side lane alone to push the wave, avoiding being picked off by the enemy. Remember, roaming in the mid-game must be based on mid-axis control. Roaming without mid-axis vision is all ineffective roaming. Mid-axis control details. 5 major techniques to give you firm control of the mid-axis. Knowing the importance of the mid-axis, next are the most core actual combat details. How to seize control of the mid-axis. Here are 5 major techniques. Every technique has been verified by actual combat. As long as they are executed well, you can easily occupy a mid-axis advantage. 1. Before minion waves meet, seize vision in the bushes on one side of the mid lane. The 3 to 5 seconds before the mid lane minion waves meet is the golden time to seize mid-axis vision. At this time, we should let heroes with vision capabilities, such as tank junglers, tanky clash laners, hard supports, or those who did not have a helpful tempo in the previous wave, like a mid laner without lane priority, go to the bushes on one side of the mid lane in advance to occupy vision. If the enemy has already occupied the bushes, we must use skills or basic attacks to push the enemy out. For example, use Princess Frost's skill 2 or Liang's skill 1 to push back enemies in the bush and master the vision initiative. Vision is the core of the mid-axis. Whoever masters the vision masters the initiative of the mid-axis. 2. Avoid letting the mage defend the mid tower alone. If wave clear is bad, must call teammates. This is what we emphasized before. In the mid game, absolutely do not let the mage defend the mid tower alone, especially heroes with poor wave clearing ability. Many teams collapse in the mid game because the support and jungler only care about farming their own jungle or pushing side lanes, leaving the mid laner to defend mid alone. As a result, the enemy mid jungle support link up to push mid. The mid laner cannot hold and the mid tower is pushed. Remember, defending mid in the mid game is the responsibility of the team, not the mid laner alone. The support should collaborate with the mid laner at all times, and the jungler should return to mid in a timely manner after clearing the jungle to cooperate with the mid laner in defending mid and seizing vision. 3. Before minion waves meet, avoid showing vision on both side lanes simultaneously. This is a detail that is easily ignored. Before the mid lane waves meet, if our clash lane and farm lane show vision at the same time, the enemy will know that our two side lanes cannot return to mid in time. They will then decisively assemble their mid jungle support to forcibly struggle for the mid axis or even push the mid tower. The correct way is, before waves meet, let the hero of one of the side lanes hide temporarily and not show vision, making the enemy unable to judge our backup route and afraid to initiate an attack easily. 4. Before a split pushing, first observe the vision of enemy threat. If our side has a split pusher, such as Ma Chao or Fuzi, before they push the lane, the mid lane should help them observe the vision of enemy heroes that pose a threat to them, such as the jungler, assassin, or hard support. Only after confirming these threat heroes have shown vision can the split pusher push the lane with peace of mind. Do not brainlessly use skills to initiate the wave. Especially in high rank tiers, also pay attention to whether the opponent has heroes waiting to flank, meaning whether the enemy will have someone rotate behind to pincer the split pusher. The mid lane should report information to the split pusher in a timely manner to prevent them from being caught. 5. In the absence of a numerical difference, try not to start a teamfight in the mid lane. The mid lane is the center of the map. The vision is open and there is not much cover. In a situation without a numerical difference, forcibly starting a teamfight in the mid lane makes it very easy to be counterattacked because enemy will back up quickly. The premise for a mid-game mid-lane teamfight is, we have already formed a numerical difference, or the enemy's key skills have already been used, such as the enemy jungler's ultimate or the support's flash. Only then can you decisively start a teamfight. If there is no numerical difference, what we should do is kite and contest for vision rather than forcibly starting a teamfight. After mastering the control of the mid-axis, next is how to choose the direction of attack. Many players occupy a mid-axis advantage but do not know where to strike, resulting in a waste of the advantage. Here are 3 major principles for selecting attack directions summarized for you, allowing you to precisely decide the attack route according to the situation. First, if we have already mastered the enemy's vision and information. For example, knowing the enemy jungler's position or the resource respawn in the enemy jungle. The priority of attack at this time is enemy jungle, then neutral resources, then our jungle. First, attack the enemy jungle. Plunder the enemy's jungle resources and suppress the development of the enemy jungler. At the same time, you can ambush enemy heroes coming to defend the jungle. If there is no opportunity in the enemy jungle, go control neutral resources such as the Tyrant Overlord. These resources can bring damage bonuses or economic advantages to the team. Finally, consider our own jungle, clearing our own jungle resources to ensure our jungler's development. If we have not mastered the enemy's vision and information, do not attack blindly at this time. The direction of attack should be decided according to the minion wave priority of the side lanes. Whichever side lane has lane priority, play toward that side. For a side lane with lane priority, the minion wave is pushed under the enemy tower and the enemy needs to defend. By playing toward this side, we can form a more against fewer situation. At the same time, while attacking, try to squeeze out the enemy jungle vision in the half map where the attacking minion wave is located to prevent being counter-ambushed by the enemy. Here is a core technique. If both side lanes have lane priority, prioritize playing toward the farm lane, because the farm lane is the team's late game core. Protecting the marksman's development while pushing down the farm lane tower can make the marksman's output environment better. If neither side lane has lane priority, decisively go back to farm, clear your own jungle and minion waves, and wait for the next opportunity. This situation has a lower probability in actual combat. If one of our side lanes is an advantageous lane, for example, the farm lane marksman is pressing the tower, or the tank clash lane is suppressing, at this time, the side laner in the advantageous lane should follow the minion wave forward. For example, the marksman follows the wave to push the tower, while the mid lane and jungler should go to the half-map jungle where the advantageous lane is located to provide vision and back up the teammates in the advantageous lane, preventing the enemy from counter-pincering. The mid lane and jungler can go to the enemy's red buff area to occupy vision and observe the enemy's support movements. Once the enemy comes to defend the tower, we can form a numerical advantage and forcibly start a teamfight. Finally, we will explain the closing stage of the game. Teamfights can finish after 10 minutes. The core of this stage is to transform the mid-axis advantage into teamfight victory and finally push down the enemy crystal. Many players play well in the mid-game, but when it comes to late-game teamfights, they fall short at the last moment due to decision-making errors. The techniques in this stage will allow you to close perfectly. After 10 minutes, the game enters the teamfight and conclusion stage. At this time, the Dark Tyrant respawns and both items and levels enter the mid to late stage. The status of the mid lane T1 tower has already decided the ownership of mid-axis control. The core of this stage is to use the mid-axis as the anchor point, expand teamfights around core resources, and utilize the mid-axis advantage to end the game. 1. Core anchor of teamfights. The mid-axis decides the teamfight position. After 10 minutes, almost all teamfights happen around the mid-axis and core resources, such as the Dark Tyrant, Shadow Overlord, and mid-lane T2 tower. The mid-axis is the core anchor of the teamfight. Whoever occupies the mid-axis masters the initiative of the teamfight. If we occupy mid-axis control, we can place the teamfight in the mid lane or near the mid-axis, forcing the enemy to accept the fight within our vision, while using the rotation advantage of the mid-axis to support side lanes at any time. If the enemy occupies mid-axis control, what we should do is avoid their sharp edge, use side lane minion waves to distract the enemy and force them to split their forces, and then look for opportunities to seize mid-axis vision to start a counterattack against the enemy. Teamfight role of the mid lane. According to hero type, perform your own duties. In teamfights after 10 minutes, the positioning of the mid lane should be decided according to your own hero type. Different mages have completely different duties in teamfights. Do not let all mages think about dealing output. Find your own role correctly. 1. Assassin Major, including Mai Shiranui, Shang Guan, Sima Yi. Target enemy carry first, use mid-axis vision to flank. The core duty of assassin mages is to pick off the enemy's carry, namely the marksman and mage. At this time, use the vision advantage of the mid-axis to flank from the jungle or side lanes, avoiding the enemy's front line to directly output the enemy's back line. Remember, assassin mages should not start the team fight from the front. Wait for the team fight to begin, then cut in from the side or behind, use a set of skills to instant kill the enemy carry, and then quickly evacuate to avoid being targeted by enemy. 2. Artillery mages, including Garuda, Nuwa. The core duty of artillery mages is long-range poke and output. In teamfights, rely on the vision of the mid-axis to find a safe output position. Do not stay forward. Use the long-range advantage to chip away the health of the enemy front line while restricting the positioning of the enemy carry. The artillery mage is the team's primary output. Your own survival is the first priority. As long as you are alive, you can continuously apply pressure to the enemy. 3. Utility mages, including Xia, Shi, Princess Frost. The core duty of utility mages is field control and initiating team fights. In team fights, use skills to control the enemy's key heroes, such as the enemy jungler, assassin, or front line, to create an output environment for teammates. At the same time, cooperate with teammates to hold key positions of the mid-axis, such as mid-lane bushes and the river, to prevent the enemy from breaking through the mid-axis and diving our own carry. Core techniques for ending the game: mid-axis advantage plus minion wave management plus resource control. After 10 minutes, if you want to end the game, relying solely on teamfight victory is not enough. You must also combine mid-axis advantage, minion wave, and resource control. Only by combining these three can you quickly push down the enemy base and avoid entering a late-game bladder match. 1. Use mid-axis advantage to quickly rotate and push towers. After a teamfight victory, do not blindly chase to kill enemies. Use the rotation advantage of the mid-axis to quickly rotate to the side lanes and push down the enemy's defense towers. For example, if a mid-lane teamfight is won and the enemy loses members, we can quickly rotate to the farm lane or clash lane to push the side towers and then return to the mid lane to advance the mid tower. Use the tower advantage to compress the enemy's activity range. 2. Wave management. Late game wave management is the key to terminating the match. The mid lane wave is the core. Prioritize clearing the mid lane wave and use it to push toward enemy towers. At the same time, you can let a split pusher go to a side lane to push the wave, forming a dual lane pushing to distract enemy. Let the enemy split their forces to defend lanes while we assemble mid, jungle, support, marksman to use numerical advantage and forcibly push down one of the enemy's high ground towers. Once a high ground tower is pushed and super minions are released, the enemy's lane pressure will increase significantly and we can easily master the match tempo. 3. Resource control. The Dark Tyrant and Shadow Overlord after 10 minutes are core resources. The Dark Tyrant can bring high damage bonuses to the team and the Overlord can release the Vanguard to push waves. Generally, prioritize controlling the Dark Tyrant because its damage bonus can give us an absolute advantage in team fights. Control the Overlord after the teamfight victory to use the Vanguard for pushing waves. Remember, before controlling resources, you must first occupy mid-axis vision to prevent the enemy from counter-pincering. After securing resources, use the resource advantage to decisively initiate a teamfight and push down enemy towers. After 10 minutes, 3 major taboos must be avoided. Many players fail because they commit these errors, letting their mid-game advantage go to waste. Blind pushing. Do not go to a side lane to push alone, especially for mid lane heroes. Late game solo pushing makes it very easy to be picked off by the enemy. Once the mid laner is killed, the enemy will take the opportunity to control resources and push towers, and the tempo is instantly reversed. 2. Defending mid alone. Absolutely do not defend the late game mid tower or T2 tower alone. The enemy at this time has already formed a group. Defending a tower alone will only result in being killed, and the tower cannot be held either. Assemble teammates to group up and defend towers, using the advantage of skills and defense towers to play a counter-attack teamfight. 3. Neglecting waves. After a teamfight victory, do not only care about chasing to kill enemies and neglect the minion waves. Without minion waves, even if you wipe out the enemy team, you cannot push down defense towers. Ultimately, you only waste the advantage and let the enemy reorganize defense after they respawn. In this lesson, from the 0-4 minute laning phase to the 4 to 10 minute mid-game operation and then to the team fight after 10 minutes, we thoroughly explained the tempo logic of the mid lane in Honor of Kings. Finally, let us summarize the core tempo of the mid lane as a whole. 1. 0 to 4 minute laning phase. Determine strategy by matchup. Advantage depends on vision and support. Disadvantage depends on status and adaptation. Keep in mind jungle defense and key timing. 2. 4 to 10 minute mid-game macro. Defending mid is the number one task. The mid-axis is the core. Execute the 5 major details well and choose attack directions according to vision. Controlling the mid-axis is controlling the global situation. 3. Teamfights and finish after 10 minutes. Use the mid-axis as the anchor. Perform teamfight positioning according to hero type. Combine minion wave management and resource control to terminate the match and avoid late game major taboos. The mid lane, acting as the game's tempo engine, not just testing mechanical skills, but more about big picture and awareness. I hope that after this class, everyone can integrate these techniques into your own game. Practice more, think more, and slowly cultivate your mid lane tempo awareness to change from a solo mid laner into the team's tempo leader and reach top rank easily. The next time you play mid lane, follow today's time framework and record your operations for every single stage. See which stage you are not performing well in and make targeted improvements. I believe that as long as you persist, your mid lane level will definitely have a qualitative leap. Thank you